Hey everybody, it's Patrick. It is Thursday, which means that I am here to bring you another 3-ingredient recipe. Today we're going to be making shortbread, and shortbread is one of the easiest recipes in the world for you to learn how to bake. If you've never baked anything before, this one doesn't take a lot of technique. The measurements are precise, but they're really easy to remember. And like I said, it's 3 ingredients, and it was always meant to only have 3 ingredients. Now, of course, you can always add extra things to shortbread. The flavor of shortbread is very simple and very subtle. It tastes a lot like butter. It tastes a lot like sugar because those are the main flavoring ingredients. You can add things like cocoa. You can add chocolate chips. You can add ginger or orange. You can dip shortbread into melted chocolate and let that harden up and become more of a candy. You can also use shortbread as the base of a tart or a pie, where you could put that at the bottom of a pan and then put other things on top of it, and you will have a really sweet crust. But I like shortbread very much on its own. I like a lot of very sweet things to eat, but I also like things that aren't really overly sweet, especially if you're having something towards the morning, or just, something for a light snack. It's more of a biscuit flavor than it is a cookie. So if you're looking for something really, really sweet, this is probably something that you would want to add, like I said, chocolate to. You can add chocolate chips. You can do all sorts of things to really jazz it up. But if you wanted something to go with, say, a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, I really like it in the wintertime with a cup of hot chocolate. It's really good for that. So why don't we get started with the ingredients? One of the things I really like about shortbread is the recipe's ratios are really easy to remember. It is half cup, 1 cup, 2.5 cups. So even if you don't happen to have the recipe right nearby, it's something that you can recall really easily, or at least it's something that I can recall really easily. So the 3 ingredients you're going to use are 1/2 cup of sugar, 1 cup of butter, which in the US is 2 sticks of butter, and 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. So in a large bowl, the first thing you're going to do is cream together the butter and the sugar. If you've never creamed together butter and sugar before, all that means is combining it until it's very fluffy. Usually the butter will go from a deeper yellow color to a lighter whitish color. That's how you know it's all creamed together. After you've whipped together the butter and the sugar and it is all combined and it's all whipped together, then you're going to add the flour. After you've gotten it all mixed together, you're going to find that it's more of a sand-like quality. Basically, you're just going to mix it together with your hands. Make sure that you have nice clean hands, and start squishing it together until it starts to form together. It will all come together. It does feel way too crumbly at the very beginning. Don't worry about that. It is a crumbly dough. Like I said, you will know that you are done mixing it together, kneading it all together, when it basically can form into one solid mass. You've got the butter all incorporated directly into the dough. It will crumble a bit. Don't worry about that. Don't panic. It will all come together when you put it in the pan, and especially when you put it in the oven. Now, there are a couple of ways that you can make shortbread. You could chill this in the fridge for about an hour, then roll it all out and cut it up with cookie cutters. I myself am a little bit too lazy to do that, so I just throw it into an ungreased 9x13 pan and press it down with my fingers. The reason that you don't need to grease the pan is because the whole thing is made out of butter, so basically it's going to make sure that it doesn't stick all on its own. Like I said, it looks very crumbly. That's fine. That is not going to mess up the recipe. Don't worry about it. Don't let it freak you out. So basically, as long as it's evenly spaced, as long as it's all the same thickness, you're going to do fine. Your final step in preparing your shortbread is just to poke it with a fork What this is going to do is let the steam that comes out of the butter, which is mostly water, the parts that aren't just fat, that's going to allow it to escape so that the whole thing doesn't puff up. Unlike other types of baked items that contain a lot of butter, you don't want this to puff up. You don't want the water within the butter to make this become crumbly, because then it won't hold its shape. And then you can just sprinkle the top with a little bit of extra sugar to make it a little bit sweeter. And then you're ready for the oven. You're going to put this into a preheated 300-degree oven for 40 minutes. Once the shortbread is out of the oven, let it sit on a wire rack for a couple of minutes within the pan, and then you're going to cut it into squares. It's not going to firm up until it gets completely cool, which is when the butter is going to re-solidify. So don't worry if it seems soft right now. It will crisp up as soon as it cools off, and then it'll be ready to take out of the pan. Once the pan has cooled completely, you can then remove the cookies from the pan and store them in an airtight container. What you're going to end up with these shortbread cookies are really delicate, especially if you don't let them cool down as completely as you should, which is what I always do with shortbread. The butter does really need to completely firm back up, but I usually can't wait for that to happen. But they're crumbly and they are light, and the flavor is really subtle. Tastes just like butter and sugar. What could be better than that? One of the other cool things about this recipe is that the dough doesn't contain any eggs, and therefore it's safe to eat on its own. So if you really like eating raw cookie dough, add a little bit more sugar, throw in some chocolate chips, and it tastes very much like chocolate chip cookie dough without any of the worry that you're going to have any sort of reaction from bad eggs. So I hope you really enjoyed this recipe. If you did, please like this video and subscribe and comment and share it and do whatever else you're supposed to do with YouTube videos. Remember, I come up with another 3-ingredient recipe every Thursday. If you're here for hair videos, that happens on Tuesdays. And George shows up on the weekends to talk about being good to yourself. Thanks very much for watching.